Some of us got our dream jobs by faith, but want to keep it by fact. The things that you're treasuring today, God gave you by faith. You trusted God, you were praying, you fasted, you believed, and God gave you. So you know, say, no, I have to keep it myself. God cannot keep it from you. But the God that gave it, you know, God cannot keep this one. I have to please my bosses, I have to beg my bosses, I have to do politics. Because even though God gave me, but God cannot keep it. How dare you? God gave you and God cannot keep it. How dare you insult him? And God can take it from you, you know. Faith. We've stopped walking by faith. I'm telling you the truth. And that's what people plan. And there's nothing wrong with planning. Because you see, this motivational ideology of planning, of being secular, of thinking, of organizing, of being smart, of being, well, you know, those things have a way of just robbing us of some fantastic virtues of faith and power. But we don't know it. We have to think things through every second, every hour. If I give that money, it will affect this one. This one. I cannot go give her. Faith towards God. Today I want to ask you to once again put your faith on the cross of our Lord Jesus Christ. Something happened on the Passover night. Communion. The Lord took the Passover feast. He had the Passover feast with his apostles and disciples in a secret place. And Paul the apostle was not there. But in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, where I read earlier on, we find Paul the apostle sharing with us by revelation, with precision and accuracy, the events of that night. So that which I give to you, I received from the Lord. Because in Galatians chapter 1, he said, I did not confer with flesh and blood after I got saved. I went away for 3 years to seek God's face, and God revealed to me things. And I found out a lot about God, about things that happened. And later, with so much precision and accuracy, he got it. He said the same night in which he was betrayed, because he was betrayed that night, he took bread. And by the way, that night was the beginning of the Passover feast. It was a week-long feast in Israel, in Jerusalem, to commemorate and remember the exodus of Israel from Egypt. Because after the 10 plagues, the 10th plague was the killing of the sons, the firstborn sons of the Egyptians. And you know the story of the 10 plagues and Moses going to Pharaoh, let my people go. You know the story. I don't need to bore you with that. And that night, God said to his people, tonight will be unique. Why? It's going to be the beginning of months for Israel. How? I'm going to release you from Egyptian bondage. But you're going to do something for me, because I'm going to take their firstborn sons, because Israel is my firstborn. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to ask you to please take a lamb and slaughter that lamb. Put the blood of that lamb, innocent lamb, without sin, without spot, without wrinkle. Put it on your doorpost and your window lintel. And everybody should eat the last meal, that feast. Make sure you tie your girdles, your loins on your waist. Get your sandals, get ready. Because you do not eat this with ease. You eat it in a haste. Make sure you eat it quickly, because you will hear the cry in the land. Because I will go from house to house, door to door, and I'll begin to slaughter their firstborn sons. However, any house, both in Goshen and outside Goshen, that I find the blood on their doorpost, I will pass over. Death will pass. Sickness will pass. Curses will pass. That's what we call the Passover feast. But make sure if you put the blood on your doorpost, make sure you have the blood, the mark of the blood on your life. If you don't have it, there'll be no Passover. And you need to do it with a honest heart. And so they did it. And that night, God moved through, the angel of death moved through the land and slaughtered the firstborn sons of Egyptians. And Pharaoh called Moses quickly, come here! What's going on here? It's getting bad. I'm tired. You guys, get out of town. Move. Leave my land. And that was the beginning of the Exodus, or exit of the people. And they left the place, free, liberated, finally free, and free at last. And the Passover became a feast, 7 days. And they call it unleavened bread. And God said, do this every year to mark the beginning, to remember what I did by bringing you out of a house of bondage for 400 years. I set you free. When you do this, remember my power, remember my blood, and take a lamb and use that to remember the things I did.